Have you ever stopped to think why certain desires just won't go away? Why even when you try to ignore them, suppress them, or distract yourself, they come back, stronger, quieter, more dominant? Carl Jung said, "What you do not bring to consciousness returns as destiny." And perhaps there is no destiny more common, and at the same time more unconscious, than living guided by a desire that you do not understand, but that decides for you. Sex. Yes, that's what we're talking about. But not the kind of sex that's exposed, explicit, sold on screen. We're talking about hidden desire, silent guilt, the impulse that never stops, and that may be controlling your mind without you even realizing it. This video is an invitation to courage. Courage to look within, to understand why sexuality, when repressed, becomes a shadow that sabotages your peace, your choices, and even the love you believe you feel. If you've ever felt ashamed of a desire, if you live in conflict between what you want and what you think you should want, or if you just want to understand why you seem to be living hostage to something you can't control, then take a deep breath and come with me. And before we dive into this intimate and transformative journey, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Here we talk about the truths that set you free, even when they hurt, and you won't want to miss the next steps in your own transformation. Let's join us. Get ready to discover why sex controls your mind, and what you need to embrace in order to finally free yourself. Chapter 1. The desire that never silences. You can even deny it. You can distract yourself, work too much, occupy your mind with 1,000 worries. But the desire, it comes back. It always comes back. No matter your age, your lifestyle, or how rational you consider yourself, there is something inside you that pulses, burns, insists. A silent force that doesn't ask for permission. It just appears. Carl Jung said that sexual desire is not just a biological issue. It is a psychic energy, a symbol of what is hidden in the unconscious. And the more you try to ignore it, the more it finds ways to manifest itself. In dreams, in impulses, in thoughts that seem to come out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere, it's from deep down, from deep inside yourself. This strength is not only in your instincts, it is in your silences, in your frustrations, in your relationships that don't last, in the shortcomings that you don't admit, and in every decision that seems rational, but carries the echo of something you never dared to face head-on. Denying this desire is like trying to drown a scream in water. You can push it to the bottom, but it always comes back up. And if this is resonating with you, it's because this truth lives there in your chest too. Take advantage of this moment of recognition and leave your like right now, not just for me, but for you, to show that you are here, present, beginning a journey that few have the courage to take. Let's continue, because what you're about to discover could radically change the way you deal with your own desires. Chapter 2. Carl Jung and the shadow of repressed pleasure. Carl Jung didn't see sexuality as just an instinct. For him, sexual desire was a psychic symbol, a direct portal to the most hidden part of our soul, the shadow. But what is this shadow? It is everything that you repress, deny, condemn, and hide from yourself. It arises when you decide that certain thoughts are wrong, that certain impulses are sinful, that certain fantasies cannot exist. And then you push them into the basement of your consciousness. But this basement has a life of its own, and inside, what you have repressed grows stronger. According to Jung, repressed pleasure does not disappear. It becomes distorted. It turns into guilt, obsession, self-sabotage, compulsion. In other words, the more you pretend you don't feel it, the more of a hostage you become. And this imprisonment is not just emotional, it is existential. You begin to build an identity based on control, fear, and imposed morality. But behind the controlled appearance, there is a hungry self, a self that wants to be seen, to be accepted, to be understood. This is why many people live in cold relationships, have an undernourished sexuality, or fall into cycles of excess. Because where there is repression, there is imbalance. And where there is imbalance, there is silent suffering. Jung teaches us that healing is not in denying the impulse, but in integrating it into consciousness, in looking at what you fear most and embracing it. Only in this way does desire cease to be an invisible tyrant and become a creative, human, transformative force. Have you ever stopped to think, what exactly are you trying to hide from yourself? This may be the bravest question you will ever ask yourself. Chapter 3. Sex, Guilt, and Self-Deception. The Silent Triad. Few things in life provoke as much internal conflict as sexual desire. And this conflict often arises not from desire itself, but from the guilt that comes along with it. From an early age, we learn that desire can be wrong, that the body is dirty, that pleasure is dangerous. And so, without realizing it, we build a distorted relationship with something that is deeply human. The result? Self-deception. You convince yourself that everything is under control, but deep down, you know that it is not. You say you are detached, but you live trapped in thoughts that you cannot control. You pretend that you do not feel, but you feel increasingly empty. This triad, sex, guilt, and self-deception, feeds on you in silence. It drains your vital energy, contaminates your relationships, and prevents you from experiencing pleasure authentically. And the worst part? You start to believe that there is something wrong with you, but there isn't. The error lies in the repression, in the lack of a safe space to talk about it. Truthfully, in the lack of courage to face yourself head-on. The truth is that you are not alone. Many people experience this same dilemma, stifled by the shame of saying what they feel. So, I want to invite you now to break this silence. Comment below, which of these three forces do you feel most present in your life today? Desire, guilt, or self-deception? Your comment could be the beginning of someone's healing, and your own step toward a freer, more loving consciousness. Chapter 4. The Psychological Origin of Uncontrolled Desire. Have you ever stopped to wonder why sometimes desire seems to arise with a strength that doesn't match the situation? As if it weren't just physical, but emotional. As if the body was screaming for something that the soul didn't know how to ask for with words. Carl Jung teaches us that much of what we call uncontrolled sexual desire is not about sex. It is about unacknowledged emotional need, about stifled affections, broken bonds, emptiness that we try to fill with immediate pleasure. In the absence of self-love, we seek validation in the eyes of others. In the absence of emotional intimacy, we seek physical intensity. And in the absence of real presence, we seek sensual distraction. Uncontrolled desire is often a desperate call for connection, but not a connection with another person, but rather with ourselves. You may even think you need more pleasure, but what you really need is more internal listening, more acceptance, more courage. To admit that what hurts is not the desire itself, but the loneliness of not knowing what is really behind it. This understanding changes everything, because you stop blaming yourself for wanting, and you start listening to what the desire is trying to tell you. Desire in this context is language. It is a symptom, it is a compass. If you just follow the impulse, you can get lost. But if you listen to what it represents, you can find yourself. Chapter 5. The body that screams, what the soul. Keeps silent, your body speaks. Even when your mind is silent. Even when you try to maintain your composure, control your impulses, pretend that everything is fine, it speaks. And sexual desire is often this raw and sincere language of the soul trying to be heard by the body. How many times have you sought touch when in fact you needed to be listened to? How many times have you given in to pleasure when in fact you wanted to be held? How many times have you given in to desire when what you needed was presence? Carl Jung said that the body is the visible manifestation of the psyche. What you cannot understand in words, the body translates into sensations, sudden desires, unexplainable tensions, fissures that cannot be explained by logic. It's like your body is trying to scream out a pain that your soul could never say out loud. And here's the hard read but liberating truth. Many of your most intense desires are not about pleasure. They are about unwelcome pain. They are about old memories, about affections you have never received, about a love you have not yet learned to give yourself. When you realize this, you begin to treat your desire with more compassion and less guilt, because desire is not the problem. The problem is the emptiness that it tries to numb, and it is in this emptiness that your chance for healing lies. If this made sense to you, leave your like now, because this type of conversation is not common, but it is necessary, and each like shows that you are on this journey of self-knowledge, and that you want to see more content with this depth. Chapter 6. Sexual liberation or escape from oneself. We live in a time that preaches freedom, but are we really free? Or are we just taking refuge in an idea of freedom so as not to face what is screaming inside? Sexuality has become a showcase. Be free, live the pleasure, enjoy without guilt. But Jung would warn us, not all freedom is true. Some are just well-made masks to hide the fear of being alone. The pain of not feeling enough, the emptiness of not knowing who you are when you are not desiring or being desired. And here is the question that hurts, but liberates. Are you living your sexuality as a space of authentic expression, or as an escape from yourself? It's easy to confuse intensity with connection, frequency with intimacy, freedom with compulsion. But true freedom does not shout. It is silent. It brings peace. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to fill gaps with bodies, nor seek love in gestures that end in guilt. Sexual liberation only happens when you no longer hide behind desire, but use it as a bridge to find yourself. When pleasure comes with presence, when touch comes with truth, when the body is not used to escape and but to return. This is the point at which many fall, and few wake up. But you are here, reflecting, listening, and that is already a sign of awareness. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought you were free, but deep down you were losing yourself? Keep this question in mind. It can open doors that desire alone would never open. Chapter 7. Integrating the shadow. Jung's path to inner peace. Carl Jung didn't want you to overcome the shadow. He wanted you to integrate it, because what you repress controls you, but what you embrace transforms you. Integrating the shadow means looking at desire without guilt. It means recognizing the pain behind the compulsion. It means naming what you were ashamed of, feeling. And above all, it means accepting that being human means living with contrasts. Light and shadow, love and fear, pleasure and silence. You don't have to get rid of your sexuality, nor do you have to turn it into something sacred and untouchable. You just have to recognize it as part of who you are. No masks, no guilt, no self-deception. Inner peace doesn't come from control, it comes from reconciliation. When you stop fighting with parts of yourself and start walking alongside them. This is the path that Jung proposed, and which few have the courage to follow. But maybe you are ready to look at yourself with more compassion, to listen to your desires as messengers, to use sexuality not as an escape, but as a mirror to your soul. If this video spoke to you, share in the comments what touched you most during this journey. What was the point that awakened you? Your truth can help other people find theirs. You are not alone. Here, we are a community that chooses to feel deeply and grow truthfully. You've made it this far, and that says a lot about you. Most people run away, they pretend they don't feel, they get lost in distractions, but you had the courage to look, to listen, to feel. Now you know, the desire that controls you is not the problem. The problem is what you don't hear behind it. The unwelcome pain, the unadmitted loneliness, the soul that just wanted to be seen. Carl Jung showed us that integrating the shadow is the path to freedom, and today, perhaps for the first time, you have taken a real step in that direction. Don't rush. This is a process. But know this, the more you listen to yourself, the less you need to lose yourself in others. Peace begins when you stop running away from yourself. Now tell me, what part of this video touched your heart? Leave a comment below. Your experience might resonate with someone who needs this exact message. And if you felt that this content touched something deep within you, subscribe to the channel right now. Here you will not find empty promises, only truths that heal even when they hurt. With each video, a new key to knowing yourself, respecting yourself, and freeing yourself. You are not alone on this journey, and that is already a beginning of peace.